Wealth principle number 9. You must track and focus on your net worth. What you think about, you bring about. What you track, you gain. So if you're focusing on your net worth, then you'll have a bigger net worth. If you're tracking your net worth, you'll be able to see the incremental growth and you'll be able to grow more. What most people track is their income. What most people track really are their bills. Most people track their bills and their expenses, and so they gain more bills and expenses. And over time, they have just a large mass of bills and expenses without a higher income, without a net worth. Think about what most people say. Mike, and you be a good example, is most people think and they talk and they say, oh, well, the bill just came in for the car, right? Or people are tracking their entertainment. Did you watch that show last night? Did you get to watch the football game? Did you get to see this new thing? Did you see what the next person's doing? So they're getting more drama in their lives. They're getting more entertainment in their lives. But in the end, to retire,
you need to track your net worth.
You need to track your net worth. What you track expands. What you think about, you bring about. What you focus on, you get more of. So tracking your net worth, it starts with first understanding what net worth is. So we'll start with the basics. Your net worth is what you have on assets minus expenses or liabilities. So for example, an asset would be a piece of real estate. For most people, we'll go all the way back to the beginning, right? Your first asset that you likely attained was likely a vehicle. So your first asset was, we'll say, a car. And now a car can be worth, we'll say my first car was worth $14,000. My first car I bought was worth $14,000. I took out a loan for $12,000. So my net worth at the time was $2,000. Assuming I could actually sell the car for what I bought it for. Now in reality, usually the price that you pay on a vehicle, as soon as you buy it, it's no longer worth that. It was probably worth what I actually owed on it. So my net worth was probably zero. We want to be very realistic about your actual net worth. Your net worth is what you can actually sell the product for, not what you bought it for, what it's actually sellable for. So in that first year, my net worth was probably still zero, plus whatever was in your bank account. So you have your assets and your liabilities, and then you have free cash. So what you have, if you have $35, because at the time that's what I had, was $35 in my bank account, and so my net worth was $35. This is making sense so far, right? Yeah. Everybody, all the audience. So first let me say thank you for everybody who is at home. Thank you, Mike, and everybody on the Zoom call, Mario, and thank you for everyone who's at home. Doreen, I see you. Gary, what's up, brother? Mario, I see you, brother. Everybody at home doing their thing, logging in. I appreciate you guys. I miss your energy here. It is not the same without you. But we're going to go through this. We're going to train the same way we always would. If you have any questions, just put them into the group chat, put them into Facebook Live, or if you're on the Zoom call, I don't have you muted yet. So as long as everybody can stay respectfully quiet with the background noise, feel free to just chime in. Mike, Mario, that sounds good, guys? Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. How can you get on Zoom? Dorina, if you go back to my Facebook page, I posted the link on there. I know you're on the business page. The Facebook page actually has a link. And Ron, do you mind posting the link to the my business page? Just post it in the comments underneath this live training.
I will give that a shot.
Excellent. This way anybody who's jumping in can get there. So, going forward, it's your cash. You have the cash in your bank account. That's your net worth. So at the time, I had a net worth of $35. This was me at 18 years old. I had a net worth of $35, and I remember thinking, wow, I'm so frustrated that there's only $35 in there. And I started, it was just $10 a week. I was working at Walmart at the time, and I was like, if I just start putting $10 a week, it's gonna go up. And I went to Walmart and I told them I want to automatically deposit in my bank account. And they can do that. They went and they automatically deposited $10 every single paycheck. It was actually $20 because they were bi-weekly. Every single paycheck, $20 went into my account. And I just, every month I'd go back and I'd look and be like, wow, $85, cool, right? But it felt good. It just felt good knowing that it was going up. And then every month I would go back and track, and before you know it, there was $2,000 in there. And then I upped it to $100 every paycheck. Before I knew it, it was $5,000. And I was just focused on how do I get more into that bank account? How do I get more into that bank account? It was the only way I knew how to track my net worth. It was the only play I had. I didn't know about the vehicle or about buying property or stocks or different assets or owning businesses. It was just how do I get the cash up? How do I raise more capital, get more cash into my net worth, into tracking it. Ron, thank you. Great job, brother. Darina, welcome aboard to the Zoom. So, as you grow in your investment skill, as you grow as a wealth builder, cash is important to increase. It's important to be stacking up and tracking it and just looking at the bank statements, even if it's only monthly. If you can get to weekly, if you can get to quarterly, it's better than nothing, right? Most people don't track the net worth ever. They never see it, they never write it down. After this, as we're explaining, actually, while you're there at your desk, while you're there at your house, or if you have a pen or a pad to write on, start doing your net worth. Start tracking it as we're going through this process. So start with, what do you have in the bank account? This is the easiest one. If you have multiple bank accounts like me and Ron, maybe it's a little more complicated. Maybe if you're like Mike, you have a bunch of bank accounts, but go and add them all up, right? Put your bank accounts in there. That's the beginning, easiest spot. Next, just put your all the balance added up at the bottom. So this is your cash section. Now the next one you want to put in is stocks. If you have portfolio stocks, most people after the age of 25, 30, they've joined a company and they're getting some sort of 401k, or they're investing on some level stock-wise. So take that number. If whatever it is, the net worth of the stocks that you own right now, that's your next number on the asset column. Now the next one is real estate. If you own a piece of real estate, put what you think it's worth on that side. So what you think it's worth. The easiest way to find this is go to Zillow. You just go to Zillow, put in the address to your property, and typically Zillow will be in the ballpark around that. What's up, James? Good to see you, brother. So it'll be in that ballpark. So now you take those three, those are in your asset column. On the other side, and put your car. Put your car what your car is worth. So those are your four columns. Those are your four assets. You got your vehicle, you got your real estate, you've got your cash, and you've got your stock portfolio. As you accumulate wealth in life, there are more assets that you can acquire, but these are the four basic ones that we're going to talk about. And I'm just going to mute James because you got some background noise, brother. Let me see. There you go. Thank you, my friend. So now you've got your assets. We're going over to expenses. Expenses are, first, the mortgage on your property. How much do you still owe? If you bought the house for $250 and you only owe $200, put $200 on that side. The next is going to be your car, whatever you own your car. By the way, I just paid mine off in March, so now, thank you. Thank you, Mike. So now that's a debt I no longer have. So your car expenses, whatever you owe left, your balance. Then you go down and obviously any debts that you have, if you have credit card debt, if you have a student loan, personal loan. Ron, what are other expenses people would have? Credit card, student loan.
Mortgage?
The mortgage will be the house, that'll be separate. Well, it'll be next. So any personal loans that you have. So you got your car loan, you got your personal loans, credit cards. Now you put your mortgage in. So on that side, your expense side, you're putting all of the things that cost you money. Their debts, their expenses, their liabilities, all of those elements.
Rent. Add
them all up. Rent is not a debt. It's not something that you actually have it's not a liability. It's a liability, it's an expense, but it is not a amount that you owe somebody else. It doesn't come into play. It doesn't come into play in net worth. Because it's a monthly bill, it's not a dollar amount that you could just pay up front for the rest of your life. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Good question. Very good. So you've added those both up. Now you subtract them from each other. So you take your liabilities and your assets, the full worth of them, and you subtract them from each other. That figure is going to be your net worth. Whatever this figure comes out to is your net worth. So you may look at that and you may have a negative number. It's terrifying. I know, I've been there. I've had negative 25,000 be my net worth. Because fortunately, America allows you to go lower than what you're born with. You can actually be worth less than you were born with. So some of us have had that experience, right? Yes. Well, me. So, yeah, Mario, there we go. What's up, Wander? Good to see you. Vicky, how are you? So net worth, Now that you know it, so this is the thing. I went from a net worth of negative 25,000 to $250,000. I did it in 2 years, so I don't care where you're at. If you're doing better than me, if you're at least at zero or just a little under zero, it's okay. It's like I'm definitely proof that you could do better than what you're at right now. So you take this number, and every single month you just go back and you just update it. So we were talking about car payments. So my car payment was $287 every month for the last 4 years. So in March, that car payment, my debt was $287, and then at the end of March it was $0. So every single month, your net worth should be changing. Now the value of the vehicle may be going down, but if you're paying a good enough amount, it's not going down as much as the payment is going down. So you look at you can go to Kelley Blue Book and look at the value of your vehicle, and then you can go to your bank and say, this is the balance of my vehicle. So as you're making those payments, you're making that $200 or $300 a month payment. If Kelley Blue Book goes down by $25, your net worth has increased every time you make a payment. This is making sense so far? This is part of tracking your net worth. Thank you, Mike. I need somebody to respond back to me. So this is part of tracking your net worth. You make sure now that you go to your mortgage every single month. When you make your payment on your mortgage, they give you the new balance. The check comes in the mail, the register comes in the mail, and you see the new balance in your mortgage. You can then go to Zillow and see what the Zillow is saying your house is worth. Do not call your real estate agent every single month and be like, hey, can I get a new CMA? Can you run a new valuation on my property? So you go and you get the Zillow, and you go and you get your expense from your bank. In fact, I would make the trigger be your bills, since you're tracking your bills anyway. So go and when you pay your car bill, go and track the new balance, go and look for the new value. When you pay your mortgage, go and track the balance, go and look for the new value on the property. When you go in every single month, take an excuse to go look at your cash in your accounts and add that to your new net worth sheet. Track this in Mint or do it on a spreadsheet. I used to do it on a spreadsheet, but if you have the opportunity to have access to a cell phone or a computer, I would put it all into Mint. Mint.com. In fact, it'll pull your cash accounts for you. It'll track your property's value for you, and it'll track your mortgage for you. And it'll track your car payment. You just have to change the value in your vehicle. I don't think it automatically tells the value of your vehicle, does it?
It will pull it from Kelley Blue Book.
So it will. So Mint will actually go pull it from Kelley Blue Book. So you can check your net worth weekly if you just go and take the time to set up Mint. And I don't get paid by Mint. I in no way am endorsing them at all. But they've worked. Mike, do you have any familiarity with Mint? Mint.com?
I know about it. I haven't used it yet.
So 6 or 7 years ago when I started using it, I was terrified to give them my bank account numbers, right? Terrified to log in and
that was my concern.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to give them my mortgage information. I didn't want to give them my stock account information. But I'll tell you, 6 years later, I'm so glad that I can just log right in and it's all right there. I can just look at everything. I don't have to do all these calculations anymore. Go ahead.
On that, Mint is owned by Intuit, who owns TurboTax, sir. So if you're okay with those tax companies having your information,
Ron says
should be okay. Mint has it.
Ron says
Same
that.
company.
Stop talking.
Same company.
Ron says that if you trust Intuit and if you trust TurboTax, TurboTax is owned by Intuit. So if you trust Intuit and trust TurboTax, then you can trust Mint.com because they're the same company. They're all owned by the same company. So there's that piece, right, Mike? What do you think?
Yeah, no. I mean, we use Intuit and whatever.
Whatever, right? At the end of the day, I also didn't do it for years, and I was tracking on a spreadsheet. And I'll say now that even though I just gave you how you could track it on a spreadsheet, Mint takes me 1 minute. I just go in, it checks all my accounts, and it automatically lets me know, hey, this is the Kelley Blue Book, hey, this is the Zillow value, and now I can know my net worth just by a quick look. The only issue I have with it, I think there's like 1 or 2 banks that I have. I have Mr. Cooper, and no, it wasn't Mr. Cooper's. I think it was Mr. Cooper. I couldn't. No, Mr. Cooper was fine. It was a local bank. It was like First Eastern Mortgage. Like didn't have like an online site, so they couldn't link up my mortgage. So that was the only one I had to do manually. But Mr. Cooper, like Wells Fargo, all those connect. So pretty easy to track.
I have to try it.
It's great. And then you put all your credit cards. I have 24 credit cards. So I put all my credit cards in there so we can track all of them, right? And then I'll get a notification, like if I got charged an interest fee, like Mint tells me. Mint's like, hey, by the way, the credit card company just charged you. Like, you might want to go check on that. So it's good. Yep, Ron, what do you got?
You can link some bills into it as well.
And you can link some of your bills into it. Like what? Like cell phone?
Cell
stuff
phone,
like that?
PG&E,
some what?
electricity.
Some utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to track your expenses too. So anyway, tracking your net worth, tracking it in a program like Mint or tracking it on a spreadsheet is only as valuable as you actually going and reviewing it. So you still, even though you're tracking it and you've got all these figures, you still got to go back and review those figures, because if you don't, you can't get the growth to happen other than what's just happening for the payoff. Because here's a little thing that happens. When you start looking at your net worth growing, when you start looking at it changing, you start wanting to change it a little more. You start wanting to add a little more to it. You see your cash levels going up, you want to increase them a little bit more. You buy a property, you see your net worth jump from 100,000 to 200,000. It inspires you to go buy another property. This is making sense? Yes. So, Ron, what are some categories you and I track? We track our mortgages for sure. We track our mortgages. We track our like for he and I as a business. When we just look at the real estate side, we'll go and look at every single property, and we'll say, okay, this is what all of these are worth right now, and this is what we owe. And every single month, say our mortgage is about $15,000. $15,000 goes into it, and it's dropping down the expense just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. And the assets, as they're going up in value, it's increasing your net worth. What's great is, like, I just sold a property yesterday, and it wasn't the rents that the properties made that I took home that day. Yesterday I took home a check for $108,000. Can I get a hell yeah?
Woo!
Hell yeah! $108,000 was me cashing out my net worth. It was taking that and putting it into something else. Being able to invest in a different product because I had net worth sitting there. Your net worth's going to allow you, and now that's making even more money because I'm about to roll it into, well, probably sometime next week, but I'll be able to roll it into some dividend yielding stocks that I really like. Mike knows I like the REITs. So some of that, a portion of that will go to those, some of it's going to go to pay off some bad debt, and I'll be 100% debt free by the end of this month, which is a cool place to be, right?
Awesome.
It's a cool place because, Mike, I started the year at $150,000 in credit cards. So it's, right? So it's one of those pieces that by tracking it, I'm inspired to go and do something about it.
But when you say debt free, you're talking about bad debt. You're not talking about mortgages and good stuff, like on the condos.
I don't want to be mortgage free. Mortgages mean I have a relationship with somebody. Mortgages mean I have a debt to pay. Mortgages mean I'm making money. Right? So I like mortgages. Whereas, like a car...
You borrowed money from me, so you can't be mortgage free.
So I borrowed money from Mike. So Mike's right now checking on his investments. Like, dude, don't pay me back. No, and I got Stephanie in the room too. She's another one of my investors. So, like, no, we're gonna keep paying you guys. I promise. So there's some relationships we like to pay. So we'll keep those going. But we have looked at some of the other ones and said, yeah, those are getting paid off. But we're gonna keep our debt with a new bank. We're just shifting over to a new bank, doing a refinance. So this is about net worth. This is about tracking it. So he and I will look at those elements and say, damn, like, what can we do to increase net worth now? We've killed our expenses. We've paid some stuff off. What's the next development? What's the next step? And you start looking at properties that have equity in them already. This is why we, as investors, you want to buy something that's at a discount. You're not just buying at a discount because you're cheap, right? You're not just buying at a discount because you want to make a lot of money and you want to not have a low mortgage. You're buying at a discount so you can increase your net worth. And the reason, after you've bought the discount, the reason we go and we fix the buildings up to make them a little bit nicer, worth more. We always talk about making the building worth more, right? Our tenants say it to us. I've had so many tenants tell me, well, I painted the hallways. Not the hallways, I painted my unit, or I helped you with the floor. The building's worth more now. They know it. Like, they understand that, like, they're not tracking their own personal net worth, but they know that the things they do are adding value, that the worth of the building is going up. So subconsciously, people do know this. All of society understands that if you do something right, it becomes worth more. If you fix an asset, it becomes worth more. So we'll look at our buildings and say, what could we fix here and there to make the building worth more? What can we change? And some of the things you can change in your normal life, for instance, I'm going to go back to vehicles in a second, but since we're in real estate, you can go and you can add value by increasing the rents. If I increase the rents by $100 per month, that's $1,200 per year, I've increased the value of the building by 100 and what is it? Ron, 1,200. So I've increased the building value by $12,000. So even though I've only increased the rents $1,200, I've increased the value of the building by $12,000 based on a 10% cap. If the cap's a little lower, you've actually increased it more. The math's correct. I checked it. That's why I'm using easy math. I'm not using 9% or 11%. I'm using 10%. I can work with that. Okay, we'll check with my accountant. That would be cool. I'm just like you, Mike. I got Mint 3 years ago. Yeah, there you go. Good job, Dorita. So, yes, you want to make sure that you're tracking the net worth, and then you're looking for ways to increase it. How can I increase my net worth? If you have buildings and you raise the rent on one unit by $100, you've increased your net worth by $12,000. It didn't cost you anything to increase the rent. Your expenses didn't go up. You've just increased the value of your building. Now, say you're like Ron and I, you got 50 units and you raise them all by $100. Now you've raised your net worth by $500,000. This is making sense? It's a lever that you can push that lever just a little bit further. Aside from raising rent, you can, when a tenant leaves and moves out, you can go and renovate the unit and get a tenant in there for another $200 or $300. Those are other options instead of just lost the lease. Well, still lost the lease, but instead of just raising an existing tenant, through eviction, through turnover, you actually are still getting more value when you go put a new tenant in. The other side of it, go ahead.
You install a beautiful new laundry room.
Yes, so a laundry room, a basement space, it's a useless, wasted space. Now you go install a laundry room. You've not only increased your net worth because of the value of the machines, because that's now an asset you have. You've also increased the net worth by the amount of income they're bringing through. A normal washer machine setup, one washer dryer setup will pull you in the 3-family about $100 a month. So you do it in a 10 unit, you're talking $300 a month. It becomes exponential depending on whether your tenants will use it or not. So it's also a conversation with them. So there's an asset, right? Using space that wasn't rented before, finding different ways. Change the floors in the kitchen, tenants pay more for rent. That's right, Dorita. That's absolutely right. So improving your units a little bit gets you a little more rent. Some of the other ways are, we have a buddy of ours who rents out the top of his building for Comcast. They put the Comcast towers up there, and he's getting rent for something he was already had. There's billboards. I know a few guys who have billboards on their buildings, and they're getting paid rental from the billboard company. So there's other added ways to increase your income and increase your net worth, ultimately, on the building. So this is real estate. Now, what can you do with your car? So say you're like Ron. Ron has a Jeep that's worth, or he paid $40,000 for it. So now the Jeep's maybe worth $20,000. He's had it for many, many years. 20, 28, just 8?
Yeah.
Well, okay, this is how vehicles work. It's not like real estate. Vehicles go down in value.
Yeah, it's got a...
So,
remember, I had the wreck.
So he's got a paid off vehicle that's worth $8,000. So if he took that vehicle and he went and traded it in for the $8,000, he bought a vehicle that's worth $2,000, right? Or he he bought a vehicle that he trades it, buys it for 12, buys it for 8, and he goes and does some renovation to make it worth a little bit more. So you can fix cars. I got buddies who flip cars. They just are very good at buying them at a great deal. So Ron's car is worth 8. Somebody else offers him 4, they go and sell it for 8, or they sell it for 10. They fix it up. You can do it with vehicles. It's just you're fighting an uphill battle. It really is. You're better off with a vehicle, paying that thing off, or just buying a cheaper vehicle in the first place. Because the vehicle game it's a losing game. It's just going to go down in value. It's not really the best asset. So I don't want to say that you couldn't increase it, but it's just a very hard battle to fight, right? The asset class that's easiest is either your business or real estate. Because real estate, Obviously, banks love it. It goes up in value, just little changes by the income. Your business is the easiest way to increase your net worth without costing any money. With real estate, you do have to do some things. It costs a little bit of money. With increasing your business's value, your net worth goes higher. So say you're, we'll use Mike for an example. Say you're an attorney and you're doing $100,000 in business. Your business would be worth $300,000. How do you get it to be worth? Because it takes, you multiply it by 3 to 4 years. So another attorney would come in and pay for your book of business based on how much you're making that year. Say now Mike's able to get his business up to pulling in $250,000 a year. Now they're going to say this business is worth somewhere between $800,000 to $1 million. So his net worth has increased because he's now got a saleable business that can go further. Now there are some attorneys who make maybe $40,000 or $50,000 a year, so they have a business that's worth $150,000, $200,000. So there's a leverage just by increasing the amount of value you provide to the community and your business, where you can actually increase your net worth. This is making sense? Now, the one that everybody understands, which I believe is the hardest one to work with, is cash. If you just make a little more and you save a little more, that does increase your net worth. But it's really hard to leverage that. It's really hard to get more net worth just building cash, because it doesn't really work for you unless you put it into one of the other assets. Unless you put it into the stocks, unless you put it into real estate, or you put it into your business. Cash, for the sake of cash, just living off of interest, it's harder to grow. Unless you're like Mike and you figured out a way to get 14% interest off your cash, then you do get it does grow by itself, right? And like Steph is getting 12% off of her interest. So some people I do know do very well by investing their current cash and getting a good return on it. What's up, brother? Good to see you, Knowles. So it's one of those asset classes that unless you've gotten very good at putting it to work, most people focus on just the cash. They focus on the cash. That's how they look at their net worth. When you start looking at, take that cash and roll it into something like a stock, or roll it into real estate, or roll it into your business, those three classes actually go up with a leverage behind them because somebody else is doing the work. When you put it into real estate, your tenants are doing the work. When you put it into stocks, that company is doing the work. When you put it into your business, your employees or your staff or your business partners and partnerships are doing the work to increase your cash, to make the value of your company worth more. It's a leverage tool. Cash for the sake of cash doesn't really leverage itself very well. It has to have other people utilizing it, other people putting it to work, making it grind, increasing the value. So what are some of the tricks? Because it's all about habits. Mike, actually, before I go into habits, can you talk about this week's book, Atomic Habits, which, by the way, I am absolutely loving. I haven't finished it, I'll admit, but I am absolutely loving this book.
So, we got 10 pages to read, too. So.
You got a few pages?
Yeah, 10 more pages and I'll be done.
Nice. So, Mike, give us the book.
Here's the book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a great book. It just sort of focuses on what you need to do to create good habits and what you should do if you want to break bad habits. And it's easy read, and it has some really good advice that's simple to apply. So that is the book of the week, Atomic Habits.
Nice. Everybody who can, give Mike a round of applause for the book of the week. I promise there's a lot of people clapping right now, Mike. So I appreciate that book because we're going to go into the habits to tracking your net worth. And some of the habits that he talks about in the book, such as when you wake up in the morning, first thing you do in the morning, what is it? And if you can tie a habit to your net worth, if you can say the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is I go to Mint and I review my net worth. And I get excited about, wow, I'm paying down some debt, paying down some things that are bringing my net worth down. And then I'm looking at my assets and saying, how else could I make my real estate worth more? How else could I make my stock portfolio worth more? How else could I make my business worth more? And when you're looking at it, and you're like burning with a desire to increase your net worth, to separate the expense and the liabilities and increase that gap between them, you're going to do it. Right? We talked about a couple of options just now, how you could increase your real estate business, your net worth in your stocks by going and buying undervalued stocks, and then they go up in value. That's a way to increase your net worth. This is the process of buy low, sell high. So I day trade, but I don't day trade like a risky day trader. I go in and I just hold my balance. I keep my dollar amount. So say I'm buying Tesla at $500 right now. I buy it at 500 because I know it's low, and I expect it to go back up to 700. So by buying here at 500, and by the way, I am not buying Tesla. I personally am not buying Tesla. So I want you to know that as I give this example. You do.
I am.
You are, right? For this exact reason, right, Mike?
Yeah.
Because you know,
It's not financial advice. I just mentioned what I'm doing.
not financial advice, but you know that Tesla is undervalued at the moment and it's going to go higher, right?
Yep.
So the stocks that I invest in also pay a dividend. So, in fact, I looked, because I remember 10 years ago, I looked at Tesla, and it was worth $28. And I remember thinking, I had a couple shares back then, I had like 100 shares, and if I had held them until now, I would have made an exponential amount. But I went back and I looked at the same investments I have now, my real estate investment trusts, and although they haven't appreciated anywhere near what Tesla has, the dividends have been consistent. And with the compounding interest, I would have made twice as much if I'd put that same amount of money into those my portfolio that I have today. So it's all in your skill set. It's all in what you feel most comfortable with. So I do believe that if you're buying Tesla right now at 500, say you buy one share and it goes up that $200, you've increased your net worth now by $200. Right? That's the strategy of increasing your net worth via stocks. The idea is you buy an undervalued company, it goes up in value, it goes back to where it belongs, it goes up in value. You've increased your net worth. Same with real estate. We buy an asset that somebody else isn't doing really well with, we buy it cheap, and then we go in and raise the value in it. So for the Zoom call, we're going to end in about 5 more minutes because I have not bought the actual full Zoom option. So this will end up in about 5 minutes, and then anybody can jump over to the Facebook Live feed. So appreciate you guys. I'm glad you showed up, and thank you, Mike, so much for bringing the book of the week. That's what I'm talking about now, habits. So why don't I have a habit every single Monday? I have an accountability partner. He happens to be my business partner. We get together, we review our net worth. We review our company, review our net worth, and then we spend 4 hours saying, how do we spread the gap? How do we pay down more debt? How do we increase more assets? How do we improve the assets we already have today? And focusing on increasing the net worth. Now, what's nice about net worth is it's a direct connection to your income as well when you're talking about business, stocks, and real estate. By focusing on increasing our income in those companies, we're also increasing our net worth. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. So we focus on how do we get the value of this building up more? Well, we got to go raise rents, or we got to improve the rents. We got to get more tenants in. How do we use that basement? Can we use that attic? Can we adjust? Can we add another bedroom? What are the strategies that we have in our toolbox to increase value of the building? So we're hunting and we're researching for those. Same with your business. What could you do to sell another client? What could you do to sell another property? What could you do to close another deal so that you've increased your income again for this year? And how do you make it sustainable? Because it's not about just making income in 1 year, it's doing it over 2 years that you're sellable, that your business will be sellable. So it's how do you increase your income consistently, setting a system in place so that it'll keep going for you. So I have Stephanie, she's a good friend of mine from California, she runs a hair salon out there, and we've been talking about what can we do to increase the net worth of our company. How do we increase our monthly cash flow, stuff that's coming in every single month with systems? And ultimately what we came up with is rentals. Instead of having 10 chairs, we want 20 chairs. Or we can have 10 stylists and 10 stylists on 2 separate shifts. We have morning stylists and night stylists. It's still 10 chairs, but now we got 20 stylists. And they can't work. One stylist is not about to work 12 hours. It's just not about to happen. But you can have stylists in that work from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. It is possible to have 2 shifts of stylists. When you're scheduling appointments, you can actually create this. So without increasing expenses at all, we were able to double her potential net worth. Now she just has to go do the work. This is making sense? Same company, same location, same business model. The only thing that changed is one little shift. It's instead of having one person gets a chair, it's now you're either mornings or your nights. And in fact, I'm going to charge you less per month, but your mornings or your nights, and now she's going to get double the value out of those chairs. So for example, say a chair is worth $700, right? Now she's renting the morning and the night for $500 each. So it's cheaper, but she's getting now $1,000 out of that same exact chair. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
She said that, she's like, yeah, it does. I know, I get it.
I'm ready.
Increase the value of your business, increase the amount that the business is making in a sustainable way. It's really simple just to say, hey, yeah, the second shift chair's got to get filled now, or the first shift chair 5 first shift has to get filled now. It's a sustainable model. Whereas just how do we call more clients, get more clients through the door is not as sustainable of a model. This is making sense. Yes. So now then there's business 2. Business 2 is more clients through the door by building a website that schedules and attracts people in. Business 2 is an additional supplemental way to make money on top of business 1. It's an additional form of income. Now when you sell the business, it's worth significantly more because you make more money. What's up, Kerry? Good to see you. This is Dave. How are you, brother? This is one way to increase one type of business. You can do the same in your business, whatever it is, whatever you're running for a company. We do it in real estate as agents, right? We can either bring on more agents that produce, or we can send them more leads. Business 1, business 2. By combining the two of them, I can sell my brokerage, I can sell my team to somebody else, and they'll be glad to pay it based on 2 to 3 years of results. This way, you're building an asset that's worth something, not just an income, but net worth, increasing the money that you potentially could sell. Yeah, it's good to see you, Carrie. Thank you. So, track your net worth. What you focus on expands. What you think about, you bring about. Put it everywhere you possibly can. Get it into mint. Just the concept of tracking everything you have is going to help you. Every single week, every single month, be looking at it and ask yourself this one question: how do I increase my net worth? How do I spread the gap between my assets and my liabilities? Cut those expenses down. What can you cut out monthly? Like I just paid off a car, right? What can you cut out monthly? And I actually just paid a mortgage. I literally just paid a mortgage yesterday. Completely killed the mortgage, $140,000 mortgage, and I took the cash out of the asset. So I took I got paid $260,000, so I took $108,000 out of the asset. So now I've locked in that cash, right? Look at your assets. What is the Zillow property value? What is the Kelly Blue Book value in your vehicle? When you look at your business, what is the NOI, cash on cash return for your business? What did it bring in last year? What did it bring in the year before? And you know how to check this? You go to your W-2s, not W-2s, you go to your tax returns. What is a tax return for a business? Is it a 1040? Is that deductions? 1099?
I don't know that off the top. No, 1099
1099 is what you made as a contractor, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think the 1040 is deductions on it could be deductions on real estate. Oh, whatever. I don't know the form. Ask your accountant. Ask your accountant what the form is, but the point is,
Still no.
just look at your tax returns last year. Look at your tax returns last year. If you own a business, look at what it brought in. Schedule C. Yes, after your Schedule C. Thank you, Carrie.
That's it.
Glad you're here. So you go and you look at your tax returns from last year, look at the year before, and look at what your business made. And then you multiply that by 3 to 4 times. That's what your business is worth. So if you can increase the ability for your business to make more money next year, your net worth's going to go up. Thank you, Jen. Jai, yep, we got it. Everybody's telling me now it's Schedule C. So I got a bunch of smart people in the chat right now. Thank you. Increasing your net worth is your goal. It is your mission. It is the key to wealth. All of this training, the next 52 weeks of training, we're now in week 9. So the rest of these weeks are going to be focused on your net worth, but I need you to focus on. I need you to be 100% obsessed on how do I track my net worth better? How do I pay attention to it more often? Instilling those habits. Instilling the habits. As soon as you see your net worth, you think, how do I increase the value? As soon as you see your expenses, think, how do I cut these expenses? How do I reduce? How do I pay this down faster? Because it's not about interest rate, it's about the actual value of the debt. It's not about what you're paying on the mortgage, it's the actual value of that debt. It's not about what your house, Zillow says it's worth, it's about what could you actually sell it for. And one other aspect is you want to make sure that you put in what the cost of a sale is. When you sell a piece of real estate, there's a commission involved, so take that commission out. when you look at the net worth. This is one of the pieces that Mint will not do for you. Mint won't go in and take the 5% out for you or the 6% out. So make sure that you're just subtracting the sale of the property so that you can see a more realistic version of your net worth. Ron, any advice on tracking it or creating habits around it? Good habit is weekly. Get an accountability partner, whether it's somebody here in the group, whether I know right now we're working from home and we're all on Zoom calls or we're on Facebook Live, but get an accountability partner. Right here in this room, when we're doing the Alchemist trainings, we're doing the Alchemist masterminds and the wealth building principle, my 100 champions who are becoming millionaires, one of those champions, have them hold you accountable. Get an accountability partner where you check in once a month, once a week, and you say, hey, this is my net worth. Did you track it? This is where I'm at, this is where you're at, and just compete with each other a little bit. Learn from each other. Learn from other people in the group. What did you do to increase your net worth this week? What did you do to increase your net worth this month? Finding that when you come here into this room, where you come into this group chat, somebody's going to ask you what did you do to increase your net worth this week. That's going to be a trigger. It's going to help you move forward so that you know when you come here, you've got to have that figured out. Does this make sense? Yes? Excellent. Well, Ron? No, we don't know. Okay, we don't know what next Saturday holds. We're probably going to do the same thing. It's going to be a Zoom call, same Zoom call number. I'm not changing it. It's the same link. Facebook Live, we're going to do it here. We're focusing on, we've been focused on doing a lot of this. Yeah, I guess we're just going to keep training. If you're at home right now and you're stuck and your business is closed, this is a good time to start a new business. If you're not at home and you're a real estate agent, you're an attorney, this is the best time to be calling your people. If you're a hairstylist, call your clients up, let them know, start scheduling out next week. Start scheduling one-on-one appointments to go and do their hair. You can charge just a little bit more for those. But make sure that you're doing something in your business this week. Work on building a program, work on doing your numbers, track your net worth, do whatever you can that you couldn't normally do, everything on your back burner. This is your week to get all these things all cleaned up so you can move forward aggressively and focus on building your business. Guys, when you have a choice, always work with the best. Cheers to your success.